Welcome to Beta Cuck Fag Nation. You know how every single person who voted for Donald Trump is a white supremacist? No? Did you know they're also basically part of the KKK? Not that either. Oh, alright, okay. Well, luckily for you, the Huffington Post is here to set you straight with this gem of an article. By Justin C. Cohen, we have 3 New Year's resolutions for white America. Oh, not this shit again. Come on. Well, my time is pretty limited today, so I'm just gonna dive right into this shit with no further ado and just see what they have for us. Resolution number 1. We resolve to stop being so damn sensitive about the word racism. Racism warrants discussion, but white people put too many conditions on the discussion of the phenomenon. We want the racism conversation to be scheduled well ahead of time so that we can prepare the perfect words. When we get to said discussion, the room has to be appropriately lit, and ideally there will be both snacks and a competent facilitator present. Don't fucking underestimate the prevalence of snacks. That's important. White people have more explicit conditions for the discussion of racism than we do for the initiation of sexual intimacy. The hyper-conditional version of discussing racism must get tossed in the dumpster fire with the rest of 2016. Okay, at least the liberal media realized that 2016 was a shit year, just ironic you don't realize it's because of them. Racist stuff is happening all of the time, yeah, that's not vague at all. We do not have the luxury of orchestrate conversations about racism so that they're more comfortable for tepid white people. Each mention of racism is not a very special episode of Blossom. Yeah. Okay, first of all, I don't know where this myth comes from that white people are super sensitive about talking about racism. I can talk about race and racism all fucking day long. It's just boring me. But I can kind of see why white people would be a little bit discomfortable, because at every fucking turn, liberals and progressives and social justice warriors do not hold any fucking bars to blatantly call all white people racist for any fucking reason. The mere existence of a white skin is basically racism at this point. So, do you not understand how it would be kind of, something you'd avoid as a white person? Personally, I don't give a shit. You can call me whatever the fuck you want. But some people have an aversion to being labeled a racist simply for having a certain skin color. So, yeah, do you not see why it makes some white people a little bit discomfortable? It's because of cunts like you! How do you not realize that? So yeah, I'm gonna change that resolution for you. We resolve to stop collectively blaming all white people for racism. Let's stop doing that, and then we might be able to talk about racial issues on an even playing field. Maybe that's an option. Resolution number 2. We resolve to realize that all white people are participating in racism. This just in. You're a fucking retard. That's right, I said all. Sorry to burst your bubble, white lady wearing an Asada Taught Me t-shirt, but even you still have work to do. The majority of our people sided with the Ku Klux Klan to elect an overt bigot as president. That bigot has subsequently appointed even more bigoted people to serve in significant positions in American government. While the American political commentariat, is that how you say it? Obsessed over whether or not this means that every Trump voter is racist, this distinction is unimportant. Really? Yeah, that's a convenient truth you fabricated for yourself, you fucking moron. All of us are on the racism spectrum until further notice. Whether you're on the David Duke side, hella racist, or the Chris Hayes side, not really a racist, you have work to do. This just in. I apologize on the behalf of, myself for putting this guy on the same level as retards. I'm sorry, retards. You're far better and far more intelligent than this cunt. Treating racism as a rare disease of smaller minds got us to where we are today. Now, people like you got us to where we are today, you fucking retard. Moreover, the construct of racism as a binary wherein people who say overtly racist things are loathsome racist and those of us who don't get to claim permanent moral superiority is useless. Finger-pointed precludes introspection. I don't know what introspection means. I'm not gonna know. Racism has spent hundreds of years metastasizing. Racism has spent hundreds of years metastasizing. We cannot eradicate the disease by isolating and removing only the most obvious lesions. Yeah, it is true that racism is a spectrum, but that's basically everything you got. That's all that you got right with that fucking... So yeah, first of all, I love how you say, the majority of our people, and then bring out the Ku Klux Klan in the same fucking sentence. This kind of mentality is what creates racism and divisiveness. What do you mean, our people? I'm not part of some kind of... You don't speak on my behalf. We may share skin color, you dumb fucking cunt, but let's just put it like this. We're all one people. We're one people. You are actively allowing skin color to be a decisive factor, rather than just an arbitrary fucking trait, which shouldn't fucking matter. What do you mean? Oh, you know, the majority of our people... Fuck you! And what do you mean people sided with the KKK? How the fuck can you call yourself a journalist in good conscience and use such an obvious guilt by association fallacy? Like, allow me to demonstrate. Hey, you know what? I really like milkshakes. You like milkshakes? Don't you know Hitler liked milkshakes? You're basically Hitler for liking milkshakes. Oh shit, I guess I can't like milkshakes anymore. I don't want to be like Hitler. This just in. Retard is a compliment in your case. Resolution number 3. We're resolved to organize our people around anti-racist ideas. That actually sounds kind of reasonable. Movements and power are built through sustained organizing. The anti-racist segment of the white population got worked by the maybe racism is tolerable to achieve economic results flank of our people. That wedge is the oldest play in the American political playbook, as racism and economic opportunity are kissing cousins. See slavery, Jim Crow, and Becky with the bad grades. Yeah, because those things are totally still relevant. You fucking shit! Organizing methods and rhetoric need to recognize this reality. For decades, politicos on the left chastised less privileged white, third time's a charm, values work voters for acting against their economic self-interests while allying with wealthy conservatives. Now that President-elect Trump wraps rhetoric about economic self-interest in racist values, the left is like, but what about your values? Values and interests should not be treated as divisible. Reverend William Barber said it best, and I'm actually not going to read that quote because I think it's irrelevant. So, what this Cohen cunt is saying is basically, there is no way of separating economic self-interest from racism. That in and of itself is debatable, but your notion is far more concerning. You think people should vote against their own economic self-interest to avoid being racist. This is kind of another guilt by association fallacy, because the main motivational factor for voting for Donald Trump was never racism. Sure, some people voted for him because of racist reasons, and because of Islamophobia, and probably also because of sexism, but far from fucking all of them. Like, honestly, okay, I will get to this. Bear with me. Divorcing economic self-interest from racism has never been possible, and a generation of Americans is now waking up to that reality. For centuries, being white in America meant reaping unearned power and advantages relative to people who are not white. America's power structure, to an almost comical degree, still reflects that version of whiteness. The resurgence of white supremacy in this country is a predictable reaction to both tangible evidence and that reality becoming compromised, and that demographic inevitability of a future white minority. The alt-right is presenting clean-cut spokesmodel for white supremacy, is capitalizing on the fact that most people do not want to give up power. Anti-racist white people must continue to make racism unacceptable, otherwise the white supremacist division will continue to build power and win. This fucking idiot is so jumped up on race rhetoric that it's just unfucking believable. I cannot bring myself to fathom, I can't bring myself to conceive of the mind who proofread this bullshit and thought, this is good. Yeah. I mean, the majority of our people sided with the KKK, and being able to separate economic self-interest and racism is completely impossible, so let's just vote against our own economic self-interest in order to avoid being racist. And what? Okay. I don't even know where to begin to break down this last part. Seriously. What do you mean unearned power and advantages? You're talking about white privilege, obviously. And you're talking about it being one of the motivational factors for voting Trump, because apparently he is some sort of symbol of maintaining a status quo in which white people are just more advantaged than anyone else. Well, that's not even true, but let's not focus on trying to debunk that statement. Let's just talk about the real reason why Donald Trump was fucking elected. It was not because of white supremacy. I can fucking promise you that. Do you know the key to Trump's victory? Do you know the demographic who actually carried Donald Trump to victory? The people who used to be represented by the Democratic Party. The blue-collar workers, namely the people of the fucking Rust Belt. You know, the ones who were fucked over by NAFTA, the catastrophical free trade agreement that Hillary openly supports, the agreement that Donald Trump openly fucking demonizes, as he should. They voted very much in favor of their own self-interest. They don't care about being called racist. Do you not realize this? When are you gonna wake up and realize that calling someone a racist is not gonna change their fucking minds? They are not. It's not gonna be like, you voted Donald Trump, that must mean you're a racist. Oh shit, you just called me a racist. I'm totally going to withdraw my support for Donald Trump right now. It's not how it works. The majority of people voted for Donald Trump for the same reason they voted Obama. He was a symbol of change. I have had conversations online with Democrats who voted for Obama twice, who voted for Trump this election. For fuck's sake! They didn't want to vote for Hillary because they're tired of the establishment Democrats. They are tired of establishment politicians. They wanted the person who ran like an outsider, who's now turning out, of course, to not really be an outsider, but still. How do you not get this in your fucking head? You are responsible for this shit. When are you going to own up to the fact that your identity politics, your gender politics, and you fucking demonizing all Trump voters as being racist and white supremacist and fucking misogynistic, when are you going to own up to the fact that you caused this? When are you going to realize that now you need to fucking do the best of a bad situation and try and make it fucking work? Really, try and take a cue from Bernie Sanders and hold Trump responsible for his words, rather than just calling the people who voted for him racist. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to make the situation better. It's not going to help. It's not going to be a unifying force by any fucking measure. I'm so damn tired of this. I'm so tired of these liberal shitheads who don't realize that they were the ones who caused this. Hillary shat all over the people who could have carried her to a fucking victory. And you won't realize it, because blaming sexism and racism and Islamophobia and all these bullshit buzzwords that don't mean anything anymore is just easier. It's more comfortable. It's easier to just relieve yourself of all kind of responsibility, rather than just owning up to the fact that, yeah, we fucking caused this, let's just make this shit work now. Fuck you! Fuck you! If you enjoyed my video, I would love you unconditionally if you would leave a like and subscribe to my channel and share this bullshit with every person you know. This is kind of weird. Well, thank you for visiting the Jax Nation. I am most certainly Jax, and see you next time.